All right, welcome back to the Bitcoin chart. We're looking at the pattern of wave 4 in the making at the moment. So there's a bit to discuss here, and I've been going back through every single wave just to make sure that we have an idea of what's coming ahead. Now, I was bullish at the lows, but I have since taken away that idea. It's off the table. Not just yet. There's a little bit to talk about here with regards to how this is going to move up. And I believe that it's going to move up in wave 5, fifth of the fifth wave, right? So yes, I believe that we finished wave 4 back here in August 2024. We went up for a 1, and then we had an A, B, C, D, E for 2. Then we had a wave 3 thrust. We broke past the all-time highs, and we also broke the previous high. We went for wave 3, and then we began correcting. I believe we began correcting in wave 4, right, of the wave 5. So the way I think that this is going to pan out, after meticulously looking at the charts for days and days since my last update, something wasn't fitting quite right with the pattern down at the lows. When a move basically starts to move up, it moves up a lot sharper than this. It shouldn't not be weak like what we've seen. That's corrective, and I'll explain why. So if we just zoom into the 1 hour chart, I'm going to take you to basically the top of this chart. Just to start off, I want to say that to me, this looks like an AB pattern up the top here, right? An AB followed by a C wave down. So that's what this move, I believe that's what this move was. So a 5 wave move to the downside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, alternation between 2 and 4. And then that Donald Trump announcement was the end of wave D. And then we had what looks like a zigzag to the downside, but I believe it's just a weak 5 wave move. So we have 1, 2, 3, and I believe we're working within wave 4 at the moment. So soon what we'll see is wave 4 end, and then it'll put in the final low. So at this point, I'd like to say that this down here, I see as the buying area. And the reason for that, there's a couple of reasons, right? Now, one of them is, well, we need to see wave E produce a 5 wave move, right? Now, this one will be a type 2 weak 5 wave move where they don't subdivide into zigzags, but they still overlap. So I believe we're only just seeing the wave A here. B, C, D, E should be smaller as it descends down into the 70-day mark of this correction. And the reason I think that might be important is because if you go back to the beginning of the move, if you measure this time out, this time from the end of wave 1 to the end of wave 2, it was 70 days, almost 71 days, right? So I basically took that and from the highs calculated the length of the correction, and 70 days is about that dashed line, right? It could be 71. It doesn't mean it's going to be exact. It's a rough guideline at this point. So I think that we should technically see that happen due to the alternation. Wave 4 will be a bit more drawn out than wave 2. Wave 2 was a fairly sharp move, but all the waves are in there. So this is starting to make a little bit more sense now. So the reason why this is a buying area is for 2 reasons. One is because, well, it needs to make a final low beneath the end of wave 3. And then we have the good old-fashioned rule of basically, the wave 4 and 5 price cannot go into the territory of wave 1 and 2, right? So I believe that that's why I mentioned the corrective waves here, is that we had the A, the B, the C, the D, and the E. So up to this line, dashed white line there, not only is that the end of wave 3, it's also very close to the wave 2 territory, right? So I would dare say there's a chance that this price could go down and touch that white dotted line, but not below it, because obviously you can't go into the price territory of wave 2. So that could be an interesting way to get into this trade when price goes that low, but not below that line, right? So obviously you'd be, making sure that your risk management is right, and you'd be taking a long position, and that would be a case of resistance, breaking resistance, resistance becoming support as we come back to retest that area of the breakout. Now, I must, stress that that's obviously a risky way to play it, but it could be the first part of a trade. If you start small, you can always add to the position later as you see price unravel, and surely I will be keeping on top of that one. But at this point in time, we're just really waiting for this wave E to end. Still in wave 4. We'll give it a few days before I post another update. So yeah, that's all I have for this one. Except one more thing, the target once we get to the bottom. For me, look, if wave 1 is the smallest wave, then I would be saying that it's similar to wave 3. We'd be looking for price, if it bounced down that low, to be looking to go to around $120,000. Somewhere above the previous high and $120,000. So somewhere within that 10,000 range, from 110 to 120. I would be looking to, see this top out, take profits around that, probably that 120 area if possible, depending on how the waves are panning out. But because wave 1 is the shortest, wave 5 could extend. We don't really know if that's really going to happen. We'd have to just pay attention, wait and see. Given that we have this interesting channel here that I've drawn, from the perceived wave 2, given the count that I have, so wave 1 was tiny. We had all this correction. Wave 2 started here, according to the RES wave count. Right, this is not Elliott wave. Elliott wave would have probably counted this as a 5-wave move, but the correction portion in here basically just says to me the D wave was the largest wave in wave 2. It expanded it to the upside, which is why wave 4 was a bit deeper and, to the downside. But putting in that 2-4 trend line to the top of wave 3, you have this channel, and, wave 5 can technically it can extend. I'm not saying it's going to go as long as the major wave 3, because if it did that, it would be looking at quite a significant sort of move. But if you were to make that comparison, how would that compare to the current prediction? Look, it's another $20,000 higher, and once again, if you're putting it in the same spot there, you might be hitting the top of that trend line. It could be, it can't go from there. Put it that way, right? It could happen, but look, I'm not saying it's going to. That'd be crazy. But yeah, from that spot there, you're looking at 138,000. Could price go from this level up to 138, maybe in a more sharper manner, right? So that it does hit the top of that trend line, the parallel channel. Sorry, that's possible too. So anywhere from 110 to 120, from 120 to 130 to 140. Look, it's going to be up to how the markets play out during that time. There's no telling. But yeah, wave 5s can extend. In this case, I think that we are not completed this move up. We will see all-time highs. I'm not expecting this to go completely to the moon to 200,000, but you know what? If it's going to be a blow-off top, you just never know how high this thing can climb in a short amount of time before it basically turns around and dumps. So I'm also going to cover Ethereum soon, so stay tuned for that one, and thanks for watching.